there, I'm Chris-Rachel Oslam with the Austin Post.
And I'm Gavin Stone with Fanboy TV, and we are here with the
Co-director.
Co-director and co-producer of Spark,
The
Jessie.
Burning Man story.
A Burning Man story.
I don't want to massacre your last name. What is it? Jessie Deeter? Deeter. Okay, because we've had some crazy names today so far.
Less crazy. Yes, more traditional.
So, really quick, tell us what Spark, their Burning Man story is about.
Oh, see, that's a big question.
Well,
the question's too big for why.
For people that have never heard of it, give them a quick pitch.
Yes, I would say for me, personally, the question, it's about growing up, literally. And that's kind of what's beautiful about it. It's like my co-director had wanted to do the most awesome Burning Man story ever. And I said, well, that's a little less interesting than the most awesome story ever. And I think growing up, it's got a lot of parallels to the dot-com industry, to TED. It's a lot of questions that organizations and people have to ask themselves.
Because Burning Man has grown so much since it started. It's, what is it, about 12 times the size?
Roughly, well, even, I mean, if you figure it started a couple hundred people on Baker Beach, you know.
I guess I've been thinking of it since it's more officially Burning Man, which is where I got that 12 times number. But it's what is it up to this year? What are they expecting this year?
They're expecting about 60,000.
It's a town. They actually build a whole town every year from scratch in the desert.
Now, when I think of Burning Man, okay, and this is what most people probably think, I think of a bunch of crazy, dirty hippies dancing around in the desert. But watching this movie, I realized it's really not that, what people see it as. It's something much more.
Oh, yeah.
What is Burning Man to you?
To me, Burning Man was a journey. It was a tremendously arduous, amazingly transformational, experiential journey. But I would say the thing about Burning Man is it is dirty and nasty and hippies and partiers. It's kind of, I mean, it's so unique. That's why we call this a Burning Man story, because it's not your Burning Man story or your Burning Man story or my Burning Man story. It's whatever you make of it, very, very literally and very specifically.
And the thing that I completely contradict him with my expectations of it, because I mean, for one thing, I'm a lifelong geek, but for another, everyone I know that goes, it costs so much money to get out there. It's not something you can do if you're a dirty, filthy hippie that doesn't actually have a regular income. Everybody I know is making 50, 60 or more a year minimum. They save up all year long. They build these amazing things, plan their costumes, and this is the only vacation they'll take. And so have you found that it's actually a lot more prosperous crowd, like not just anecdotally with what I'm saying, but people that go out there, they can afford it?
Well, that's a really interesting question, and I would dispel the myth right now. You can be poor and go to Burning Man, because one of the huge tenets of Burning Man is volunteerism and community. And anybody who's dying to go to Burning Man, if they want to get to Burning Man, they need to affiliate with a project and work their asses off. Yeah. And they'll get there, and they can get there for that will be their ticket, basically, is you work it off. So if you really want to go, it doesn't matter. You've got the spectrum from literally people who have no money, are living in trucks or however they're living, to people that are called affectionately sparkle ponies.
Sparkle ponies for the win!
A backbone of Burning Man, and they can come in, they can do everything from flying in literally to the Burning Man airport and having their experience kind of set up for them in the RVs, and that's kind of a sexier thing for the media. But I would say the bulk of the community, the mainstay of the community are the volunteers and is the volunteer spirit.
And on top of that, Burning Man has sparked so many other local burner events. There's one here in town. There's one every town that I've lived in, for that matter. So it's not just this once-a-year thing. It's actually a community that spans the entire year.
Yes, and in fact, the Burning Man organization itself will tell you that the goal and what they're after now is bigger than Burning Man. They just the Burning Man is kind of an entry event that you should be so lucky if you can actually attend in person. Maybe once in your life now, because there aren't enough spaces left on that playa for everybody to go.
It sells out like a year or two in advance, doesn't it?
Well, it sells out. It's currently sold out now, except for this core group of participants who create the art that is most important. These are magnificent art projects. They do reserve. But I would say that what you're talking about is regionals. And they're regionals literally all over the world. And that's kind of the spirit of Burning Man, literally these little seedlings going out into the world. And that's kind of cool. And that's what they're actually after.
So they're okay with all the little seedlings, instead of saying we feel that may take away from the main event. They're like, yeah, by all means, take Burn, because I learned from watching the movie that it's a movement about throwing off what you think you're supposed to be, you know? But do you feel like maybe, hey, we have one in Austin, we have one here, that just kind of takens away from going to the main event?
Well, again, I won't speak for them, but what they've said and what they've specifically said in interviews and to us is that they really love the spirit of regionals, and they really want, they very specifically will not tell you what your event or your person is supposed to be, and they don't want to tell you how you're supposed to transform or how you're supposed to be. They want events that are operating in the spirit of Burning Man according to the 10 principles, which is, you want them not be, they don't want Coca-Cola to show up in a regional event and call it a Burning Man affiliated event. Yeah. They're very specific about that, but they really believe that Austin's regional should look and feel and smell very differently from South Africa's, from New Zealand's. They're very open to, and they actually, I've tried to pin them down on what Burning Man means and how it should be. They're like, no, we're creating the vessel for culture is how they'll tell you they're doing
and
it.
I love the fact that the burners that I've met, at least, they're all really into the maker community, because that seems to be such an integral part of it. It's not just getting out there and dancing in front of a fire, though that's fun, but there's also, like, you see pictures of the giant steampunk elephant that was out at Burning Man, and even with on more regional level. So what are some of the favorite things that you've seen that people made that they brought to this?
Oh man, well, one of the most literally awesome and awe-inspiring pieces of art I've ever seen in my life is the Trojan horse, spoiler alert. And that was from the year before, that was from 2011. And this is this massive Trojan horse that was so big it had a bar in its belly. And you have these people, you need to come to see the wonderful footage we have of it. It's just gorgeous, and it's this hugely collaborative effort of literally hundreds of people working together, and at the end, they burn it to the ground.
That's one of the other things that I really like about Burning Man is this whole idea that you can spend a year or more making something, and it doesn't have to be permanent. It doesn't have to be something like, I've made this and I will have it for my entire life. It can be something that the whole point of it is to have had that experience and be transient.
Well, what they'll say is, the people who will bother to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the materials alone and then give their time for a year to make these things, like Burn Wall Street this year, is that the experience is meant to be very immediate, and you're meant to fully be in the moment and to experience it and to live it, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
It's a very Zen way of thinking, especially when people are literally investing very real dollars in it, and it can seem very self-indulgent, but it's kind of, there's something I really personally admire and respect about that.
Which ties back into you thinking that they're all a bunch of hippies.
Yeah, because when you see people Burning Man, it's always people not wearing clothes, throwing stuff around. You're like, what do I want to go to that for? I don't think media has done a fair representation of displaying it across, which is why I think the movie works so well, because it kind of gets to the heart. And then at the same time, you're showing the behind-the-scenes stuff. This is the love and the effort that goes into this. And the elephant one was awesome. I don't think I remember the Trojan horse, but there's also a lot of interesting characters there.
Yes.
Well, who did you meet that really just stuck into your mind?
There are so many for so many different reasons, but I mean, there's one guy who I didn't get to talk to because our crew was scattered all over the playa, but I would have really enjoyed speaking to the levitator. For example, there's a man who levitates in our film, and there are men who there's a man named Jim Duffy who literally is an older man. He's 85, I believe, and he just drives his golf cart around the playa, interacting with people, and he has had girlfriends, and he's had love stories, and all these things happen. And you can't meet anybody who doesn't have an amazing story at Burning Man. It's actually not possible to be bored or meet.
And
a
you can't meet
person.
everybody there as well. I mean, now that it's at 60,000 people, it's like I said, it's a city.
It is a city.
So that's a fun city to go to. So, good job on the movie. Opening my eyes, for one, takes a lot. I'm not going to lie, it could be pretty stubborn. And two, just showing the inside of this world that Chris-Rachel's not going to hold over my head. I knew about Burning Man, you were an idiot, trust me. Have a good time at South by Southwest. And welcome to Austin, and we hope to see more of you and more of your films in the future.
And I hope you get a chance to meet some local burners.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, yes, there will be a meetup, I believe, later today. And our film, if anybody is interested, for more information, we're sparkpictures.net, but we're so thrilled to be here. We're very happy to the festival.
And where's the meetup tonight?
I'm sure you can Google it and find out, because it's...
Check the South by Southwest social for the schedule. You can find it. It'll be great.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming again, and have a good time here in Austin.
Awesome.
Thank you.